welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to make a basic bread recipe in our bread maker. Now if you don't have a bread maker, that is okay. You can make this all by hand. This recipe has no artificial flavors or ingredients, and guess what? There's no sugar. So you're going to want to make this recipe because it has some great ingredients. I'm going to link below the bread machine that I'm using if you're interested or in the market for a bread machine, and then also I'm going to link the post that is going to accompany this video, because over there you can get a printable pin that you can pin on Pinterest if you don't want to make it today and you want to make it later, or you can print the recipe and put it in your recipe binder or holder of sorts. So make sure you head over there and get that printable recipe or pinnable recipe so you can save it for later and make it for later. So this bread is wonderful. It's very moist. It is a great bread because you can use it for grilled cheese or peanut butter and jelly or even French toast. It's just a great bread. It's very similar to like a Wonder Bread, but like I said, there's no artificial flavoring or ingredients, and there's no sugar. So you're gonna know exactly what's in it. So I'm gonna turn this camera around, get you through it, and meet you back. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is go ahead and set your bread machine to the dough setting, and you might have to check with your owner's manual to figure this out, but it's pretty self-explanatory and every machine is slightly different. Once you have the dough setting set, you're going to go ahead and add all of your wet ingredients. This includes 1 cup of warm milk, 4 tablespoons of your softened butter. You're going to add your honey, that's 1 tablespoon of honey, and your filtered water. You need 1/3 cup, and 2.5 teaspoons of your active dry yeast. Now I will include a recipe that you can print or pin to save for later, so that will be in the description box below too. So make sure you check that out if you don't want to make it today and you want to make it in the future. This is a simple basic bread recipe that anybody can make, and this machine is a beginner machine. It's not super expensive, so you don't have to buy an expensive bread machine to make this recipe. Okay, I do turn on my bread machine once I have my wet ingredients in there, just to kind of start incorporating it before I add my dry ingredients. So at this time, you're going to add about 3.5 cups of unbleached all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of sea salt, and 1 egg lightly beaten to your bread machine. Once that's done, go ahead and close the lid and let the bread machine do its magic. You can open and shut the lid of your bread machine. That depends on you and whatnot, but I like to do that and check on it to make sure everything is doing its job, because I do get a little nervous sometimes. So feel free to do that. Okay, now that your dough cycle has complete, it's time to remove the dough from the bread machine and put it on a lightly floured surface to basically shape it into a loaf and put it in your grease loaf pan. So I like to flatten this out into a rectangular shape and then fold it lengthwise and then fold the width in and shape it to a nice loaf, and then place it into that grease loaf pan, and then you're going to allow it to do its second rise. This usually takes about an hour, but if you have a colder and draftier home, it could take double that time. So don't be alarmed, but the basic thing you need to know is that you want it to rise all the way to the top of the loaf pan. Once it's at that point, it's going to be time for it to bake in the oven. Thing I forgot to mention, I do like to put saran wrap over the top of my dough just to prevent it from drying out during its second rise. So you can do this also with a wet tea towel. Just put it right on top so it doesn't dry out. You want a nice moist bread. Now in a preheated oven at 375 degrees, you're gonna go ahead and put your loaf pan in the oven and let it bake for about 40 minutes or until golden brown. Halfway through the baking time, I like to rotate my loaf pan just so I can get a nice even bake of my bread. Once your bread is finished baking, you're gonna go ahead and let it cool before you cut it. Okay, now it's time to slice it and test it, and I usually like to do about a 1/2 inch thick, and this is, like I said, perfect for any sandwiches you want to make, French toast, or just buttered bread. So I'm basically slicing it, and I'm gonna butter it and give it a shot, and we are gonna serve this with dinner this evening. Now this bread, because it is homemade, will last about 3 to 5 days. So you can store it in a cool, dry place and it'll be perfect. All right, so I went ahead and buttered the bread, and as you can see, or as I shown you, the bread is very moist and very tasty. So you can just take some butter, you can even toast it and put jelly on it, or like I said, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. This bread is scrumptious, and you need to add this to your weekly things to do in your routine to make this basic white bread in your bread machine. And if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my bread recipes, because you do not want to miss them. All right, you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.